The mysterious building. This section lasts for about 3 to 4 minutes. The bike hummed beneath him, the only sound breaking the eerie silence of the barren mountain landscape. The rider, clad in weathered leather and a helmet streaked with dust, had been riding for hours, the endless expanse of rocky terrain pressing down on him. He felt the weight of solitude creeping in, an itch of unease he couldn't quite scratch. Then in the distance he saw it, a small building barely distinguishable against the muted tones of the mountains. A place to rest, he thought, slowing his bike as the structure grew clearer. It was old, its wooden exterior bleached by time and sun, with initials carved into the weathered door. He parked his bike, the engine sputtering into silence, and stepped inside. The air was stale, heavy with dust and something else he couldn't place. The room was dimly lit, with a single window filtering pale light over the cluttered interior. Helmets hung from rusted hooks on the wall, gloves were strewn across a table, and keys dangled from a makeshift rack. The rider frowned. Everything looked untouched, abandoned, but there was a strange order to the chaos, as if someone had carefully placed these items here and then vanished. He moved closer to the table, his fingers brushing over a worn leather jacket that seemed oddly familiar. His gaze drifted to a row of photographs pinned to the wall. They depicted riders like him, each standing next to their bikes, grinning against a backdrop of the same building. His stomach tightened as he noticed the dates scrawled beneath each photo, decades apart, yet the building remained unchanged. One photo caught his eye. The rider in it wore a jacket identical to his own. He leaned in closer, heart pounding as he realized the bike in the photo wasn't just similar to his, it was the same. A chill ran through him. He turned to leave, his boots crunching on the dusty floor, but froze when he heard it. A faint rumble in the distance, the unmistakable sound of motorcycles. He whipped his head toward the window. The empty landscape outside had begun to shift. Shadows flickered and moved, growing darker, denser, until they resembled figures. Riders on bikes coming closer, their forms just shapes against the horizon. Panic surged through him as the rumbling grew louder, shaking the floor beneath his feet. He bolted for the door, only to find it wouldn't budge. The carvings on the wood seemed to move, twisting and reforming into new patterns, trapping him inside. The rumbling was deafening now, as if the building itself was groaning under its weight. He turned back to the table where the helmets, gloves, and keys now looked freshly used, gleaming as though waiting for their next owner. The photographs were no longer still. The riders in them moved, their faces turning toward him, their eyes empty and accusing. A final photo appeared on the wall, one that hadn't been there before. It was him, standing in front of his bike, his helmet under his arm. The date beneath it was today. The last thing he heard before the darkness swallowed him was the roar of engines and the distant sound of laughter, cold and hollow, echoing through the mountains.